Hi everyone, it's good to see you all here and thank you all for joining my presentation. Let me introduce myself. My name is Monica Adelaide and you can call me Monique. I'm a student of Economic and Business Faculty of Sukiyo Pranoto Catholic University, majoring in the Accounting Department. Now I'm in the first semester. Today I will present a journal article summary entitled Insider Ownership and Financial Analyst Information Environment Evidence from Dual Class Firms. Before I start the presentation, let me introduce the outline first. I've divided my presentation into three main parts. First, I'll start by the introduction and literature review. Then I'll move on to data and the research methodology with the analysis, and I'll end with the summary and conclusion from the journal. My presentation will take about 10 minutes to cover these issues, and I put all the important information on the PowerPoint slides. Please save any questions at the end of my presentation. Now let's consider the topic into details. Let me start by the introduction and the literature, which is about study examines association of insider ownership with financial analyst forecast accuracy and dispersion of dual-class firms. And it shows that prior work on the associations of firms' ownership structure and the forecasting environment of financial analyst documents that institutional ownership significantly affects forecast accuracy, but not showing a significant link between insider ownership and forecast accuracy. So this is puzzling because insider ownership exerts two distinct forces that can help align the interests of management and shareholders by mitigates the classic agency conflict between owners and managers of the firms by aligning interests of outside shareholders and those in the change of managing the firm. But at the same time, it provides management with the means of entrenchment by increasing levels of insider ownership. From the study of Francis Keeper and Vincent in the 2005 and others, it's explained that firms with more than one class of common stock cash flow rights and voting rights owned by insiders tend not to be identical in dual-class firms. And it has two effects: a positive incentive effect and negative entrenchment effect, which is allows us to separately assess how incentive alignment effects of insider ownership from cash flow rights and entrenchment effects of ownership from voting rights affect financial analyst forecast accuracy and dispersion. In sum, theory and prior research therefore suggest that insider ownership may improve or diminish the quality of financial analyst information environment, depending on whether incentive or entrenchment effects dominate. An analysis of dual-class companies offers a way around this problem. In a typical firm with a dual-class equity structure, one class of common stock has more votes per share than the other, while both classes generally have similar cash flow rights. Now let's move on into the methodology. I'll focus on insider voting and cash flow rights and a little bit in the research design. In a company's differences in the number of votes per share are the primary mechanism of creating a divergence between voting rights and cash flow rights in a dual-class firms. We define insider voting rights or VR as board election rights, that is, the proportion force of board seats insider are able to command, and we compute insider cash flow rights as the ratio of shares owned by insiders to share outstanding of all classes, weighted by defending rights per class. Our primary measure of this proportionate insider control is the ratio of insider voting rights to insider cash flow rights by wage, WETGA. Next, we go to research designs. We compute SEC as the absolute value of the differences between the mean EPES consensus forecast of annual earnings and the actual annual earnings scaled by stock price on the day prior to the measurement of the EPES consensus forecast. For ease of interpretation, we multiply this scaled forecast error by 21 so that higher values of SEC indicate higher accuracy. This is the standard deviation of analyst forecast scaled by stock price on the day prior to measurement of the EPES consensus forecast. A negative or positive coefficient on a PR or CFR when SEC is the dependent variable and the opposite signs when DESP or DIS is the dependent variable. Our first set of control reflects firm's characteristic. Second, we control for forecast characteristic, and as a third set of controls, we include the set of corporate governance characteristics. It is possible that dual-class firms are different from single-class firms with respect to characteristics other than dual-class status. And the forecasting environment of financial analysts. The independent variables are an indicator if at IPO the firm name contains a person's name, an indicator if the firms operated in the media industry at the time of its EPO 13, the percentile rank of the firm's sales, and profits in the year of its EPO relative to firms with the same EPO year. The percentage of all firms and all sales in the same core-based statistical area or CBSA in the year prior to the firm's IPO, the percentage of the firm's sales relative to the sales of all firms in the same CBSA in the year of its IPO, and indicator variables for the firm's listing year and the 48 Pharma and French in a 1997 industry. And now, I'm now approaching the end of my presentation. Finally, let me remind you of some of these issues covered. First, link between insider ownership and forecast accuracy. Second is about two effects dual class firms, and the last one about voting rights and cash flow rights in a dual class firms. This journal article presents insider ownership and financial analysis, information environment evidence from dual class firms. Well, I think that's all for today. Are there any questions? Thank you for your attention.